What's up, everybody? Let's talk Jets radio. Quick video here. The Jets have made all their cuts. I'm actually going to probably just read mostly through my notes as far as who got cut and then looking at the 53. Some very strange decisions. I'm not going to get too critical because I do think that because the Jets do have a high waiver claim priority, that you're going to see at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 moves over the next 24 to 48 hours. But looking at the cuts right now, just going through that list first, you got Chris Drevler, who we already talked about. Running back P. Ryan and Coleman both got cut. Wide receiver Calvin Jackson, Irvin Charles, Tariq Black. He was the most recent one. Tight end, they got rid of Wesco. They got rid of Bowden and then also Kenny Yeboah. So do they have somebody that can take on that H-back role? Who knows? Offensive line, they got rid of Edoga. There was talk about trading him. They ended up cutting him. They also got rid of McDermott and Grant Hermans. So their only backup tackle right now, and I'll get to more of that later, is Max Mitchell, a rookie. They also got rid of Glasser and Piersbacher. You go to D-line, Bradley Anai, Tanzel Smart, Zuniga, Jonathan Marshall. 4 players that you could argue were as good as anybody throughout the preseason and training camp on that defensive line. They ended up keeping 11 there, which is pretty nuts right now. Again, I know moves are going to be made. You got linebackers, Delshon Phillips, DQ Thomas, and then kind of a surprise, Marcel Harris, who got hurt recently, and then the bigger surprise, Hamza Nasruddin, late round pick last year, showed some athleticism. I thought he was always a pretty good player. Last year, I thought he looked a little bit better than Sherwood. This year, it seemed like Sherwood maybe was moving a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive, better against the run. So I guess they chose to stick with him. And then you go to cornerback, Guidry, Isaiah Dunn, and Wild Goose. They all get cut. So kind of a little bit thin at corner right now. And then at safety, Will Parks and Jason Pinnock get cut somehow. I have no idea how. So let's just go through the 53 now that I mentioned all the cuts. Quarterback position, pretty straightforward. Zach Wilson, Flacco, and White. The running back position, very surprised right now that Ty Johnson is still here. Just when you know what you're going to be getting out of Breece Hall and Michael Carter as your 1-2 punch. Yes, I know they're young, but chances are both of those guys aren't going to be off the field very much. When one of them is off the field, the other one should be on the field. So, if you trust Zonovan Knight to be your third running back, do you really need Ty Johnson here, or do you just worry about trying to get Knight to the practice squad, and they still had Ty Johnson ahead of Zonovan Knight? I'm not really sure, but just based on what we saw last year from Ty Johnson, limited sample size, we saw a lot of drops, not great in blitz pickup, so kind of hard to figure that one out. Again, still plenty of time to make some moves. I wouldn't be surprised at all if one of those two end up still getting cut. You go to receiver, Jets ended up keeping 6. So you have Jeff Smith and Denzel Mims for now on the roster. Saleh had some interesting quotes about, Mims not really being held hostage on the team right now, which, is kind of crazy just based on the way that they used him. The second preseason game, he was like the 7th or 8th receiver that got on the field. So it's hard to feel like, they took him seriously for a roster spot or as one of their top 6 wideouts, but then all of a sudden, he requests a trade. They give him a serious look in the final game. He plays well. Now he's part of the team, but, is he going to be part of the rotation? So, the player's going to be disgruntled, rightly so to a certain extent. And, I just don't think Joe Douglas is going to blink. He's got a certain price that we all know he's going to, wait until he gets what he thinks is proper value. You go to tight end, you got Uzama, you got Conklin, Ruckert, and Lawrence Cager actually made it for now. You go to the offensive line, surprised here. You got Max Mitchell as your only backup tackle right now. And, for all the issues that, we kind of saw with Edoga and some of these other guys, even McDermott, they at least have, drop my pen, they at least have some experience playing games. And clearly there was at least some interest from the Cowboys and Edoga. I don't think that Mitchell is ready to play. He was a 4th-round pick. He's kind of been up and down throughout camp. I think it would be a mistake, a massive mistake, expecting a 4th-round pick if Brown or Fant were to go down. And let's remember, Fant's coming back from surgery. Brown just turned 37 years old. There's a good chance that you might need your backup tackle. So the fact that Mitchell is the only one right now, that's definitely a concern. So I expect Joe Douglas to absolutely try to make a move there. You got AVT, Tomlinson, Nate Herbig as your backup guard, and then also Dan Feeney as your backup guard / center behind McGovern. You go to defensive line, you got 11 defensive linemen right now, which is crazy. John Franklin Myers, Lawson, Quinnen Williams, Rankins, Bryce Huff made it. Jacob Martin, I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. Solomon Thomas, Nathan Shepard is still here right now. Jordan Jenkins, Michael Clemens, and then Vinny Curry still made it. I thought he was going to be the odd man out, either him or Nathan Shepard. Turns out they both make it, so right now you got 11. Would not surprise me at all if they end up cutting one of those guys to possibly add to linebacker, which right now you only have 4 linebackers. You got C.J. Mosley, Quincy Williams, Quan Alexander, and then Jamie Sherwood. So I think you definitely need to add another linebacker, possibly somebody with some coverage ability. Yes, you do have Quan Alexander, who's probably going to be on the field a good amount, but you do need some depth there. And then same thing at corner. Right now they only have 5 corners, not counting Justin Hardy, who made it on special teams. He really doesn't get too many reps at corner. I don't really expect him to be out there. So behind Sauce and Reed, you got Eccles, you got Hall, and you got Michael Carter in the slot, and really nobody with any slot experience behind him. So I think that's something to watch if they could add somebody that does have that versatility to kick inside and play the slot. And then at safety, I mean, what do you say? You got Joyner Whitehead, and then somehow Ashton Davis is still on the roster, and they're trying to sell you on Tony Adams. Decent prospect, undrafted kid. You know, he looked good at times in camp. Did he look better than Will Parks or Jason Pinnock? I didn't personally think so. It just seemed like both of those guys were making some plays in preseason. And based on the way that Saleh was talking, you know, he was hyping both of those guys up quite a bit. And now all of a sudden it kind of shifted to, you know, Tony Adams is somebody that's a great developmental prospect. So we'll see what happens there, whether or not they still make a move and if both of those guys are actually safe. But then the special teams, Justin Hardy, Zerline, Mann, and Thomas Hennessy. So that is your 53 for now. Like I said, I think you're going to see at least 5 or 6 moves over the next 48 hours. So talk to you guys tonight.